Hey, millionaire. It's high time people realize that you can be rich and still be one of the most frugal people in the world. How does that saying go again? Money talks and wealth whispers. Well, there's nobody who follows this sentiment more than these people. Here are 15 extremely rich people who live like average Joes. Stick around to the end because some of these are very surprising. Number 1 will shock you. Number 15, Mark Cuban. If you're looking for a way to get rich and stay rich, look no further because Mark Cuban is your man. The Dallas Mavericks owner has lived cheap his whole life. When he was 20, he found the cheapest way to live was to crowd as many people as possible into one apartment. Many days, he slept on couches or the floor, but even before that, he always had a mind for business. When he was 12, he sold garbage bags to buy new basketball shoes. All his struggle has paid off because today, the man has amassed over $3 billion. But he's never forgotten his philosophy of thrifty living because he can still be seen shouting his head off at basketball games, wearing only regular jeans and a beat-up pair of sneakers. And he's not the only one who has tips about living cheaply. Up next, we have the face of one of the most iconic franchises in the world. Number 14, Tyra Banks. How does the host of America's Next Top Model maintain her beauty? We'll probably never know her secrets, but what we know of her is that she's as thrifty as possible. Her work takes her to many hotels, so Tyra uses the situation to her advantage. Instead of buying new shampoo and conditioner, she collects the samples from all the places she visits. She's also no stranger to eating leftovers. Clearly, stardom has not changed her humble ways, just as it hasn't changed this next person. Number 13, Kristen Bell. Okay, this one might not be shocking. A few months ago, Kristen Bell got the flack for not bathing her children. Her guests probably go through the 7 stages of grief when they show up at her house, but her water bill isn't the only way she saves money. Despite having a combined net worth of over $40 million with her husband, Dax Shepard, the pair have proved that lavish events and parties aren't to everyone's taste. They even got married at a local courthouse for a total of $142. Kudos to them. Not everyone would be willing to save up on their special day in this way. Belle is also someone who regularly saves coupons. Guess that mom instinct doesn't go away with fame and fortune, huh? Now let's hope those kids get that shower. But speaking of things you shouldn't admit to, another celebrity on this list might take things too far. Number 12, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. Together, the It couple have a whopping combined net worth of over $275 million. They're two of the most well-known faces on the planet, and they're increasingly becoming even more well-known for their frugal habits. The Hollywood power couple is trying to give their kids as normal an upbringing as possible. It's probably not easy, but they're trying to make it work. Some of their policies include not giving their children more than one gift at Christmas. Kunis was raised in the USSR, and old habits die hard. This is probably for the best, though. Spoiled Hollywood kids have grown up to be famously messed up. Another one of their policies, like Belle, is not bathing their kids until they visibly have dirt on them. Yeah, maybe some of these policies should be under revision. They're not all smart. Of course, we don't want anyone to get any wrong ideas. You can live on a budget and find a way to exercise proper hygiene. The next entries will prove that to you. Number 11, Queen Elizabeth II. The late Queen Elizabeth proved that the crown sat on a good head repeatedly. But did you know she was very frugal? That's right. Even though you'd imagine the family had the wealth equivalent to a whole country at their disposal, the Queen ensured that not a single penny from it was wasted. Not only did she demand that all the palace light bulbs be low wattage and turned off when they weren't being used, but she also had wrapping paper be reused, used the same fraying sheets, and had the same handbags for 40 years. For all those people who talk about getting new outfits for every single occasion, if the ruler of England wasn't doing it, why should you? She was truly a queen. And she's passed her wisdom down to her family too. Number 10, Kate Middleton. Like mother, like daughter-in-law, the Duchess of Cambridge is one of the most well-known outfit repeaters in the world. While some of the 1% of celebrities might find it beneath them to show up on TV wearing the same outfit multiple times, Kate Middleton is the perfect example of just how immature that mentality is. After all, there are so many better things to spend money on. Maybe she's picked up her habits from the Queen. or she's naturally thrifty. Either way, salutations to the Duchess. She's smarter than most people in the world. Her $10 million fortune won't be wasted, that's for sure. And speaking of famous women in clothing, we have another national icon who has proved herself to be incredibly smart with her money. Number 9. Michelle Obama. The words class and Michelle Obama go hand in hand. While in the White House, she paid for the entirety of her wardrobe, choosing the taxpayers' money to go into more important endeavors. Most of the dresses and gowns she wore while her husband was in office were donated by designers. For everything else, she went retail. Michelle Obama proves that there's no such thing as too cheap. And if anyone tells you that it is, they're probably not worth your time. On one of her appearances on NBC's Today Show, she was wearing a $35 dress from the fast fashion brand H&M. Oh, Michelle, you're just like us. Or not. After all, she had a net worth of $70 million. But she definitely didn't get there by blowing money on things she didn't need. Number 8. Keanu Reeves. Bet you didn't see this one coming. Is there any end to this man's virtues? Not only does Keanu Reeves dress very modestly, but he's also opted against the lavish lifestyle many of his celebrity peers adore. With a net worth of $380 million, it would be the easiest thing in the world for him to blow a cool couple of mils on a few expensive luxury cars. Still, the actor travels by public transit, like the subway. If you saw him on the street, you'd be hard-pressed to recognize him as one of the highest-paid actors in the world. He's a man of the people, through and through. After all, who doesn't love Keanu? But speaking of your peers living descendant lifestyles and flaunting how much money they have, we have the king of YouTube himself up next. Number 7. PewDiePie. He's a singer, he's a comedian, and he's also the biggest YouTuber out there. Unless you're counting mega corporations with unlimited resources behind them, of course. Looking at you, T-Series. Nope, Felix Schellberg is a self-made man through and through, and he never forgot his humble roots. While his fellow YouTubers live flashy lifestyles in LA, drawing controversy after controversy, PewDiePie remains humble. A quick look at any videos will show you the same modest face. It's hoodies and t-shirts galore. He doesn't spend cash on cars he can't afford, and cut down the production budget after he broke off from Disney. Most of the time, he even films from a spare room in his house. PewDiePie knows that when you're on top, people will know. You don't need to try to show it to everyone. What is it that people say? Wealth is quiet. And no one proves it better than this next entry, of course. Number 6. Mark Zuckerberg. There's no way this list would be complete without Mark Zuckerberg himself. Being the CEO of one of the biggest companies in the world, having kickstarted the era of social media, and becoming the 5th richest person with a net worth of over $70 billion. Mark won't have to worry about money anytime soon in his life. But suppose you pass by him on the street. In that case, you think he's just an average millennial or a recent college graduate struggling to pay off his student loans. In almost every picture floating around on the internet, Mark can be seen donning his signature jeans and a gray t-shirt. In the vehicle he uses to drive to work, a $30,000 Acura. Knowing Zuckerberg, there's probably a lot of thought that went behind this public image, but there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, Mark and his wife have revealed that the two plan to give away most of their wealth before they die. Now that's an agenda we can all get behind. Hit the subscribe button before we get to the last few people on the list. You have about 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Hopefully, by subscribing to us, you'll learn how people comfortable with their wealth live. Keep watching. You'll never guess who took our number 1 spot. Number 5. Vincent Kartheiser. This one might be a little unknown to you, mostly because Kartheiser has yet to land any larger-than-life roles the rest of the people on this list have had. But he still has to make his fair share of the money. After all, he was the lead role in the hit show Mad Men, and has racked up a net worth of about $3 million. He might be the least wealthy on this list, but that number isn't something to scoff at. But despite his massive success in life and a career trajectory that only seems to be going upward, Kartheiser has not given up his humble attitude just yet. He doesn't go out of his way to impress. He dresses like the average guy on the street. He doesn't even drive. In fact, the man is so minimalistic that he's in the process of giving away or selling anything he doesn't need. But if you want someone truly at the top of the list, we have those people upcoming as well. And we're not talking about hundreds of millions either. We're talking about full-blown, unfathomable, dynasty-rich people. Number 4. Amancio Ortega. Don't recognize the name? Don't worry, you probably remember the brand. Amancio Ortega is behind Zara and possesses an absurd net worth of $80 billion, the richest retailer in the world. Of course, you'd never guess that just by looking at him. Ortega comes from a very humble background, and although today he's the owner of one of the most well-known clothing companies in the world, he'll still usually wear a simple shirt and pants. He never wears a tie, although he sometimes wears a suit. And he's so private about his life that before 1999, no single photograph of him was available to the public. He's also a big fan of charity, donating millions to healthcare. Most of these donations go back to his home country, Spain. And if he wasn't enough for you, we have another billionaire next up on the list. Number 3. Ingvar Kamprad. Kamprad was the owner of IKEA. In fact, the company's name spells out his initials, the first letter of his family's farm, and the first letter of a nearby town back home in Sweden. This makes him the second Swede on this list, along with PewDiePie. Maybe modesty is a common trait in the country. Throughout his life, Kamprad amassed over $50 billion and was even the richest man in the world. Still, he never forgot when he used to sell matchsticks from his bicycle. The billionaire could often be seen wearing clothes that looked well-loved, and he usually only traveled on economy-class flights. Along with his wife, the two gave blue-collar couple energy, and that made us love these two all the more. But hey, if you're tired of hearing about CEOs who you don't know, up next, we have someone who has become a household name. Number 2. Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha himself. He's a businessman, investor, philanthropist, and one of the most well-known faces across America. He's also one of the richest people in the world. According to Forbes, he has over a $100 billion net worth. So, it's surprising that a man of his stature still chooses to live in the same house he bought over 60 years ago, and he wouldn't ever give it up either. According to what he told investors, the $31,500 he paid for it was the best deal he ever made because he had over half a decade of memories. Now that's a sentiment we can all get behind. There's no price for happy memories. And finally, we're at the end of the list. This person is one of the most sought-after actors in the world. Seeing him living a humble life is humbling itself. Number 1. Leonardo DiCaprio. Surprised? You'd be shocked there too if you saw him on the street. Because when he's not on set for the production of another billion-dollar movie, Leonardo DiCaprio is completely unrecognizable. Instead of drawing attention to himself with expensive clothing and big cars, he goes around town on rented bikes and a baseball hat and shorts. Not bad for a man with a net worth of over $300 million. Clearly, he's learned something from his Gatsby character. Flaunting what you have always ended up in tragedy. These people have proved that if you want to become rich, you need to learn how to live like the poor, and that you don't need to spend your cash on stupid things to flaunt what you have. Only buy something you need, even if it's flashy. After all, nobody becomes rich unless they can make smart decisions. Unless you win a lottery, but we all know how that goes. What do you think of all these people who live humble lives despite having all the money in the world? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and make sure to watch this next one.
Get ready and relax as we go through the lives of these amazing athletes who have proved that some sports stars can be financially wise despite the high rate of bankruptcy that's characterized the sector. These athletes are extremely rich, but they live like the average Joe. So, how do you achieve the humble lifestyle despite being millionaires? How are they able to transcend the lure of extravagant lifestyles and showcase financial security? Come with us on this exciting journey. Number 15. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, is worth about $200 million, which is more than enough to live as lavishly as he wants. But clearly that's not what Rodgers wants. He's quite happy and comfortable living a simple lifestyle. He avoids expensive grocery stores but gets his stuff from his local grocery shop. He's known to mow his lawn by himself, refusing to hire anyone to do it. His house is nowhere as sophisticated as those of most of his teammates. He doesn't eat at fancy restaurants where people spend hundreds of dollars, but eats at simple restaurants that are very affordable. Number 14. Daniel Bryan. If you're a wrestling lover, you probably know this guy, Daniel Bryan. A former World Heavyweight Champion and one of the headliners for WrestleMania, is worth about $12 million. While his career didn't last long due to an injury, he was able to make a name for himself and make some money too. Bryan doesn't live in a mansion with his wrestler wife, Brie Bella, who's also a well-paid athlete. This guy saves the wrapping paper when he receives a gift when it's possible so he can reuse it. He loves growing his own food and getting his own fuel. His wife shares the same money principle with him, which borders on waste not and want not ideology. I bet you not many of us can resist splashing our wealth. He's been called cheapskate, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's quite refreshing to know that some athletes are strict with their wealth. What's your take on managing wealth? Do you think you have to be frugal to maintain your millionaire status? Please let us know in the comments as we continue with this amazing list. Number 13. Alfred Morris. Alfred Morris, who began his NFL career in 2012, is another name on the list who affirms not every wealthy fellow is extravagant. When he got picked by the NFL, he had the opportunity to buy luxury cars, mansions, and whatnot. But he didn't go down that path. He continued to be modest to the point of keeping his 1991 Mazda 626, which he calls his Bentley. He became a professional driving this car, which he bought from a pastor for $2. To keep it in good shape, the football star refurbished the car and added some perks like leather seating, a super sound system, and a backup camera. This car alone sums up his frugal nature, which has kept him happy, focused, and not at the risk of bankruptcy. Talk about being wise with your money. Number 12. Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski's financial wisdom is something that's much talked about. According to Celebrity Net Worth, the iconic tight end is worth about $45 million in 2023, and though retired, he's shown frivolous spending isn't his thing. During his career, he didn't touch his signing bonus of the NFL contract money. He lived solely on his endorsement proceeds and saved the rest of his money. Growing up with 3 brothers and wearing clothes that were hand-me-downs, he carried on with the practice even after getting rich, to the extent he wears his clothes till they're unwearable. According to him, he could wear a pair of jeans for 7 days straight, washing them on day 3 to maintain hygiene. If I like the clothing, if I like the shoes, I'll wear those shoes and I'll wear that clothing down to the rags. Gronkowski told Maverick Carter during an interview on Uninterrupted's Kneading Dough podcast. He affirmed this stance in an interview he had with CNBC Make It. I'm not a big shopping guy, I'm just not interested in clothes. To me, it seems like a complete waste of money. I just want to have enough clothes to cover legally what parts I have to cover. Gronkowski is a funny guy. Number 11. Kawhi Leonard. If you saw Kawhi Leonard driving on the street, you'd never imagine he's one of the biggest shots in the NBA. Way back in 2015, the San Antonio Spurs signed a 5-year contract of $90 million, but he's not one to become lavish in his spendings. During summers, he was said to stay in a 2-bedroom apartment in California and drive a 20-year-old rehabbed 97 Chevy Tahoe, nicknamed Gas Guzzler. According to Mark Ziegler of the San Diego Union Tribune, Leonard started driving the Chevy as a teenager and drove it 8 years into his NBA career, finally dropping it in 2019. Despite his millionaire status, Leonard still clips coupons and was reported to have had a panic attack when he lost a Wingstop coupon booklet for free chicken wings. Wingstop, which Leonard sponsors, happily replenished his coupon booklet so he can continue to enjoy his free chicken wings. Kawhi Leonard is one rich NBA star who isn't interested in the glamour that comes with the job. He's just a typical average Joe. By the way, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for doing that. Number 10. Prince Amukamara. Being thrifty doesn't mean you're a tightwad. It's all about being financially prudent, cutting excesses. New York Giants cornerback Prince Amukamara's net worth stands at $46 million, but he is an example of an athlete who isn't carried away by his huge bank account. Coming from a Nigerian royal bloodline, you wouldn't know he is royal because he's just like an average Joe. Way back in 2011, just after exiting Cornhuskers for NFL, he tweeted that he was looking at getting a good deal at Husker Auto. He headed for the used car section and got himself a well-bargained SUV and opted to pay cash, thereby getting it for a lower price. According to him, he prefers spending money on what he needs rather than what he wants. He told Redditors on an Ask Me Anything session that the most common mistakes rookies make is spending their money on wants and not needs. He explained that his favorite place to hang out is In-N-Out Burger, where meals are around $10. But it's worth noting that Amukamara once spent $10 grand decorating a Nebraska high school football team. So he's being prudent with his money most times. Number 9. LeBron James. LeBron James is on this list because he's one of the richest NBA players who apply his wisdom to his spending. Knowing tomorrow is important. Granted, he does drive luxury cars like Rolls-Royce Cullinan, Lamborghini Aventador Roadster, Ferrari 458 Spider, Porsche 918 Spider, and a Mercedes Maybach 575, but he's prudent with his money, investing in movies, wellness, sports ownership, and restaurants, which continue to yield him profits. Also, LeBron is known for his philanthropy, donating millions to charities every year. However, he's been called a cheapskate. During an interview with Rachel Nichols of ESPN in 2017, LeBron's former Miami Heat teammate Dwayne Wade called him the cheapest man in the NBA. LeBron didn't counter him. That is so falsely true, LeBron said. I'm not turning on data roaming. I'm not buying no apps. I still got Pandora with commercials, he added. During an Instagram live session, his teammates Jared Dudley and Alex Caruso also called him the cheapest guy in the NBA. According to Dudley, LeBron avoids picking up tabs at restaurants, to which Caruso concurred. "He's cheap, bro," Caruso said. "That's one thing people don't realize. Rich people, bro, they want to keep their money." You can see how far LeBron, who's made up to $1 billion in his profession, goes to save some bucks. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on LeBron's stance on taking tabs at restaurants. And just look at the next star on our list and his crazy money-saving skills. Number 8. Carmelo Anthony. One of Carmelo Anthony's famous statements on his frugality got people stunned. "I go to the supermarket, make sure I get the newspaper and tear the coupons. Save $1 or $2, the New York Knicks star once told Denver's CBS 4 in 2011. Anthony, who's currently worth about $160 million, described how people looked at him confused as to why a multimillionaire was getting coupons from a newspaper to save a few cents on groceries. He explained his behavior by saying, "I'm human too." He's one rich sports star that's humble. Number 7. Darius Hayward-Bay. Back in 2009, Sports Illustrated published a startling statistic. By the time they've been retired for 2 years, 78% of former NFL players have gone bankrupt or are under financial stress because of joblessness or divorce. This finding went viral and helped wise athletes to be wiser. Darius is one such wise athlete. The Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver, who's currently worth $14 million, also earned up to $38 million in salary during his active years. He's well known for his frugal nature. He told ESPN during a 2016 interview that he saved most of his money by placing himself on a budget. His accountant mother helped him put his finances in order, placing him on an allowance. "I grew up knowing what to spend and what not to spend," he said in an interview. "It's easy when you don't have money to not spend. That's how I grew up." He even canceled his cable during football season every year when he wouldn't be home to watch it. "I keep things real simple," he said. "I'm not really a flashy guy. I understand what I want to buy. I invest my money well and pay my taxes." However, he declined sharing the exact figures of his allowance. He told ESPN that the pit keeps growing because he doesn't spend much of that money. Financial wisdom can really save a lot of rich folks from future bankruptcy. Number 6. John Urschel. John Urschel, former NFL player, earned as much as $1.8 million over just 3 seasons with the Baltimore Ravens. He was 26 when he retired in 2017, but he wasn't the type to showcase his wealth. In fact, we know that while he earned as much as $600,000 in 2016, he chose to live on a $25,000 per year budget, driving a used Nissan Versa that he bought for $9,000. What this meant was Urschel was living on just 4% of his salary in 2016, saving as much as 96% of the rest. According to him, he didn't survive on a modest $25,000 per year and drive a used car because I'm frugal or trying to save for some big purchase. It's because the things I love the most in this world, reading, math, doing research, playing chess, are very, very inexpensive. Urschel, who completed his PhD at MIT, focused on matrix analysis and computations, is now a math professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, one of the 16 new faculty members in MIT's School of Science for the fall 2023 semester. While he played at the NFL, he quietly pursued his PhD in mathematics. He was wise to think of the next thing he would do after retiring from football. His net worth is currently $1.5 million. Number 5. Joe Flacco. When Joe Flacco signed a 6-year contract with the Baltimore Ravens in 2013, he became the highest-paid NFL player at the time. The quarterback was reported to have celebrated his signing in an unexpected manner at the Golden Arches. Armed with a $29 million signing bonus and the promise of a total of $52 million guaranteed over the life of the contract, Flacco rolled down his window at the McDonald's drive-thru in Aberdeen, Maryland, after ordering a 10-piece McNugget meal with fries and an unsweetened iced tea for $6.99. ESPN reported in 2013. With a net worth of $85 million in 2023, Flacco is one rich sports star who believes in living the simple life. Number 4. Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson from Kansas is a legendary NFL receiver who's known for his average Joe lifestyle. Nelson, who's made as much as $56 million in his NFL career, is known by his teammates to be extremely cheap, as they put it. "Oh, I'm extremely cheap," Nelson once said on the Dan Le Batard Show in 2015. Even now in the NFL on road trips, we get a per diem to go out and have dinner with everyone, like with the receivers or whatnot. I'll just stay in the hotel, wait until snack at 9 o'clock to eat dinner, and not pay for food. Le Batard was naturally taken aback and asked Nelson if he was actually hoarding the per diem and living off the team's snacks. Nelson simply replied, "Yeah." Nelson's father, Alan, confirmed his son's frugal nature, which he claimed was a family thing when he gave some details about his son's financial management, as published in a 2014 Sports Illustrated feature, where Tim Layden narrated what Nelson's father said. "Jordy has filthy money, but look at the property he bought. It's got junk equipment, trees that need trimming," Alan said. "He'll deal with it when he gets home. He's not going to hire somebody to do it," he added. Number 3. Kirk Cousins. This list cannot be complete without adding Kirk Cousins' name. Cousins, who was earning $24 million a year, spent his summers in his parents' basement with his wife Julie. The NFL star usually moved to a warmer climate during the first few months of the year, and the basement of his parents' home in Michigan was the ideal. "It works well," he told Clay Skipper of GQ. "We don't pay rent." This is coming from an athlete who became the highest-paid NFL player in 2018 when he signed a historic $84 million deal with the Minnesota Vikings. Even after his parents moved to Florida, the ritual didn't change. The quarterback did his workouts in his parents' driveway during coronavirus. You can see too much money didn't change his vacation ideals. Cousins also continued to drive a 15-year-old van. A 2000 GMC Savannah conversion van he bought from his grandma for $5,000, which he called the Gray Ghost or Gandalf the Grey. The van, which he eventually stopped driving in 2018, made headlines when he drove it to practice during his time in Washington, D.C. He also had a 2006 Mercedes S65 AMG as of 2017. It's better to buy appreciating than depreciating, Cousins once told Wall Street Journal's Kevin Clark in 2016. No yachts, no sports car. Cousins made sure he was financially stable before finally buying a lakefront property with his wife, where they're building a 4-bedroom home. Cousins understands very well that any careless spending can be disastrous no matter how fat your salary might be as a sports star. You don't know how long you're gonna play. You've got to save every dollar even though you're making a good salary. You never know what's gonna happen. So I try to put as much money away as I can, he told Clark. Number 2. Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper is a sports figure who made headlines when he signed a 13-year contract worth $330 million with the Philadelphia Phillies in 2019, which was the second biggest in baseball history. The 6-time All-Star, who was with the Washington Nationals until 2018, continues to live a simple lifestyle. He loves riding his bicycle and loves going to this restaurant where the food is super affordable. He became so regular that the restaurant recognized him and awarded him free burritos for life. That's hilarious. Number 1. Daniel Norris. Known as the pitcher who lived in a van, a fact that shocked many after he signed a $2 million contract with the Toronto Blue Jays in 2011 in the second round of the MLB draft. But that didn't seem to bother Norris, who's from Johnson City, Tennessee, as he was happy living in his old Volkswagen bus from where he slept, ate, and relaxed. His love for nature makes him a sort of clean hippie, his fellow teammates once said. He usually spent his free time cruising at night, enjoying nature's beauty in all its simplicity. This young millionaire loves hiking, surfing, photography, and virtually anything that's connected to the outdoors. Looking at him, one would see a young man at ease with himself, in love with nature and life in general. According to him, people have allowed technology to distract them from other important things. Technology can blind us from what really matters in the world, like love and balance, he once said. During off-seasons, he drove out to the nearest Walmart and did pull-ups on their cart racks. He's been described as always upbeat and cheery, who hardly gets mad over anything. According to the soft-spoken Norris, when he got signed by Toronto Blue Jays as an 18-year-old out of high school, he ran to God for strength. I prayed, "God, please don't let the money change me," he said. I was 18 and I hadn't seen a lot of the world, but I've seen what money does to people. It makes them into something that they're not. When Norris didn't go to Clemson University on a scholarship for a pro bonus, he didn't take the money and disappear. He took the money and gave it to those he felt needed assistance. He donated money to the Central Church of Christ in his hometown. He also gave money to travel teams he played for and took care of his parents. He didn't go for diamonds or gold. He wore simple clothes, no designers. He didn't go for any real estate or golf membership. His anti-materialism tendency comes from family and personal philosophy. His famous van is a rusty but roadworthy 1978 Volkswagen minibus, which he called Shaggy, in homage to Scooby-Doo. The van has a way of focusing you, Norris said at the time. If you have anything in excess, it's just too crowded, too hectic. Do you agree with Norris's money philosophy? Tell us in the comment section, and thanks for watching.
Have you ever wondered if you can be incredibly wealthy and still be super thrifty? You know the saying, money talks and wealth whispers. Well, it turns out that there are some incredibly rich folks who embody this idea to the fullest. In this fascinating journey, we'll introduce you to 15 incredibly wealthy individuals who live surprisingly frugal lives, just like your average Joe. And trust me, some of these stories will leave you utterly astonished. Stay with us until the end because number 1 is a real shocker. Okay, this one might not come as a huge shock. Some time ago, Kristen Bell faced a bit of controversy for not bathing her kids regularly. Visiting her house might be a bit of a roller coaster ride for her guests. But here's the thing, saving water isn't the only way Kristen saves money. Even though Kristen and her husband, Dax Shepard, have a combined net worth of over $40 million, they're not really into those flashy, over-the-top parties and extravagant events that some celebrities go for. In fact, When they decided to get married, they kept it super simple, and the entire wedding cost them just $142. That's definitely not the usual Hollywood style, right? Kristen Bell is also known for being quite savvy with coupons. It seems like even with all the fame and fortune, her mom instincts still drive her to save wherever she can. Now, let's hope those kids eventually get their showers. But speaking of oversharing, the next celebrity on our list might just take it to a whole new level. If you want to become really rich and stay that way, pay attention to Mark Cuban. He's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks basketball team, and he's known for being super smart with his money. Even when he was just 20 years old, he figured out how to live on a tight budget. He squeezed as many people as he could into one apartment to save money. Sometimes he even had to sleep on the couches or the floor. But Mark Cuban's money-saving skills started way before that. When he was just 12 years old, he sold garbage bags to make enough money to buy new basketball shoes. All his hard work and smart money choices have paid off big time. Today, he has more than $3 billion. But here's the cool part. Mark hasn't let all that money change him. You can still spot him at basketball games, cheering loudly. And he's not wearing fancy clothes, nope. He's just in regular jeans and worn-out sneakers. And guess what? There are more people like Mark who know how to live smartly with their money. So, let's move on to the next person on our list, who's a big part of one of the most famous things in the world. Ever wondered how the famous host of America's Next Top Model keeps herself looking stunning? Well, we might never discover all her beauty secrets, but what we do know is that Tyra Banks is all about saving money where she can. Her job often takes her to different hotels, and she's pretty clever about it. Instead of splurging on new bottles of shampoo and conditioner, she grabs those little free samples they provide in hotels. And guess what? Tyra's not too proud to enjoy leftovers either. That's right, even though she's a big celebrity, she's not wasteful and doesn't let fame go to her head. Now, let's see who's up next. Someone else who knows how to keep it real despite being in the spotlight. When you put together the It couple, you're looking at an incredible combined net worth of over $275 million. These two are among the most famous faces on the planet, and what's making them even more well-known lately are their money-saving habits. This Hollywood power couple is determined to give their kids a normal upbringing as possible. It's not the easiest task, but they're making it work. Some of their rules include not showering their children with more than one gift at Christmas. Mila Kunis, who grew up in the USSR, still holds on to some of those old habits. And you know what? That's probably a good thing, because we've seen how spoiled Hollywood kids can turn out, and it's not always pretty. Another one of their rules, similar to Kristen Bell, is not bathing their kids until they visibly have dirt on them. Yeah, maybe they could reconsider some of these policies. But don't worry, they do know the importance of good hygiene. Now, let's move on to the next people on our list, who will show you that living on a budget doesn't mean compromising on cleanliness. Queen Elizabeth, may she rest in peace, showed us that she had both a crown on her head and wisdom in her wallet. Surprisingly, she was quite frugal, even though you might think that the royal family has enough wealth to rival entire countries. The Queen has made sure not a single penny went to waste. She had a knack for conserving resources, like insisting that all the palace light bulbs had lower wattage and should be turned off when not needed. She didn't believe in tossing things away either. She reused wrapping paper, used the same worn-out sheets, and held on to her handbags for an astonishing 40 years. So, for all the folks who think they need a new outfit for every single occasion, just remember, if the ruler of England could make things last, why shouldn't you? Queen Elizabeth was truly a queen in every sense, and her wisdom has left its mark on her family as well. It's like a mother, like a daughter-in-law. The Duchess of Cambridge is a globally recognized fashion icon, but she's also famous for doing something that might surprise you. She's not afraid to wear the same outfit multiple times, even on TV. While super rich celebrities might think it's beneath them to repeat outfits, Kate Middleton is a shining example of why that kind of mindset is kind of immature. After all, there are so many more meaningful ways to use your money. Maybe she learned this savvy approach from Queen Elizabeth herself, or perhaps it's just a natural habit. Either way, let's give a big salute to the Duchess. She's got a smart head on her shoulders and knows that her $10 million fortune is better spent elsewhere. Now, Speaking of smart money choices and famous women in the world of fashion, we have another national icon up next, who's proven herself to be incredibly wise with her finances. When we think of class, we often think of Michelle Obama. During her time in the White House, she made a remarkable choice. Instead of using taxpayers' money for her wardrobe, she paid for her entire clothing collection herself. Those saved funds were put to better use for more important purposes. Most of the elegant dresses and gowns she wore while her husband was in office were generously donated by top-notch fashion designers. But for everything else, she didn't opt for expensive designer labels. She went shopping in regular stores, just like us. Michelle Obama teaches us that there's no such thing as being too thrifty when it comes to spending wisely. And if someone tries to tell you otherwise, well, they might not be the best people to take advice from. Here's a fun fact. During one of her appearances on NBC's Today Show, she was spotted wearing a simple $35 dress from the popular fast fashion brand H&M. It just goes to show that even with over $100 million in net worth, she didn't get there by throwing money at things she didn't really need. Now, speaking of fellow celebrities who relish extravagant lives and readily flaunt their wealth, let's transition to the world of YouTube, where we encounter the reigning king in our next entry. Let's dive into the world of Felix Schellberg, famously known as PewDiePie, a multifaceted talent who is a singer, a comedian, and the undisputed king of YouTube. Unless we're counting on those megacorporations with limitless resources. Yes, looking at you, T-Series. PewDiePie's story is about a self-made individual who has never lost touch with his humble beginnings. While many of his fellow YouTubers revel in flashy lifestyles in the glitzy heart of Los Angeles, often stirring up controversies, PewDiePie remains a beacon of humility. A quick peek into any of his videos will reveal a consistent image. Hoodies and t-shirts are his signature attire. He doesn't squander his earnings on extravagant cars he can't realistically afford. Even after parting ways with Disney, he opted to trim down his production budget. Most of the time, he records his content from a spare room in his own house. PewDiePie embodies the belief that when you're at the top, there's no need to flaunt it to the world. As the saying goes, wealth is quiet, and a few individuals exemplify this notion better than our next entry. Now, let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of one of the world's biggest companies, and the mastermind behind the social media revolution. With a staggering net worth of over $108 billion, he's not someone who needs to worry about money. But here's the twist. If you bumped into Mark on the street, you'd probably mistake him for a regular millennial or a recent college graduate dealing with student loans. Seriously, most of the time you'll spot him wearing his trademark attire, jeans and a simple gray t-shirt. And when he's heading to work, he drives a rather ordinary $30,000 Acura. You might wonder if there's some grand plan behind this everyday image. Well, Mark and his wife have been quite open about their plan to give away most of their wealth before they pass away. Now that's an agenda that most people can definitely support. Before we unveil our top picks, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. By doing so, you'll get an inside look into how wealthy individuals choose to live their lives. And stay tuned because our number one spot is truly eye-opening. Let's delve deeper into the fascinating world of Vincent Kartheiser, a name that may not ring a bell for everyone. While he might not boast the kind of Hollywood fame that some others on our list do, he certainly made his mark in the entertainment industry. You might remember him for his starring role in the acclaimed series Mad Men, a role that has contributed to his impressive net worth, which currently stands at around $3 million. While this sum might not dazzle like the fortunes of the mega wealthy, it's certainly nothing to scoff at. What truly sets Vincent apart, though, is his remarkable modesty. Despite his steadily rising career and financial success, he remains refreshingly down to earth. You won't find him going to great lengths to impress anyone. Instead, you're more likely to spot him dressed like an everyday person you might pass on the street. What's even more surprising is that he doesn't own a car, an unusual choice in the world of celebrities. In fact, he's actively engaged in the process of giving away or selling anything he no longer requires, embracing minimalism in a way that's uncommon among the Hollywood elite. But if you're curious about the creme de la creme of our list, those ultra-wealthy individuals who aren't just rich, but possess dynasties that have withstood the test of time, then stay tuned. we're about to introduce you to these remarkable tycoons. Number 5 on our list is Amancio Ortega. You might not recognize his name, but you definitely know his brand, Zara. This guy is incredibly rich, with a mind-blowing net worth of $80 billion. He's the king of retail, the richest in the world. What's really cool about Amancio Ortega is that he didn't start out with a silver spoon in his mouth. Nope, he comes from a super humble background. But today, he's the big boss of one of the most famous clothing companies on the planet. Despite all that wealth and success, you'd never guess it by looking at him. He's all about keeping it simple, usually rocking a basic shirt and pants. He's not a fan of ties, but he does break out a suit from time to time. Here's the kicker. Before 1999, there wasn't a single public photo of this guy. He's like a real-life James Bond, keeping his life super private. But here's the really awesome part. Amancio Ortega is also a big-hearted guy. He loves helping out and has donated millions to healthcare causes. Most of his generosity goes back to his home turf, Spain. And if that's not enough to impress you, we've got more billionaire tales coming your way. This is a guy you might not recognize by name, but I'm pretty sure you've heard of his store. It's Ingvar Kamprad, the mastermind behind IKEA. The place with all those cool flat-pack furniture items. Now, what's interesting about Kamprad is that he's so connected to his roots that he named his company using his initials. The I for the first letter of his family's farm, and the K for the first letter of a nearby town back in his home country, Sweden. So basically, his name is all over that store. This makes him the second Swede on our list, right after PewDiePie. Seems like being down to earth is a common trait in Sweden. Even though he ended up with over $50 billion in his lifetime, and even held the title of the world's richest person at one point, Kamprad never forgot his humble beginnings. Can you believe that this billionaire used to sell matchsticks from his bicycle? Talk about starting small. And here's the cool part, he didn't let all that wealth change him. Kamprad was often spotted wearing clothes that looked like he'd had them forever, and he was perfectly fine flying economy class when he traveled. Alongside his wife, they had this down-to-earth blue-collar vibe that made people adore them even more. But if you're getting tired of hearing about CEOs you don't know, don't worry. Up next, we've got a name you'll definitely recognize. Hold on to your hats because our number 3 spot goes to none other than Leonardo DiCaprio. Yes, the same guy who's made a name for himself in blockbuster movies. But here's the kicker. If you bumped into him on the street when he's not filming those billion-dollar flicks, you'd hardly recognize him. That's because Leo is all about flying under the radar. Instead of making a grand show of his wealth with fancy clothes and flashy cars, Leo prefers to keep it low-key. You might spot him cruising around town on rented bikes, donning a baseball hat and comfy shorts. Can you believe it? This guy's got a jaw-dropping net worth of over $300 million, but he's not out there flaunting it. It's like he's taken a page from his character in The Great Gatsby. You know, the lesson that flaunting your riches can lead to tragedy? These folks we've talked about today have shown us something truly valuable. If you want to get rich, you've got to learn how to live modestly. You don't need to splash your cash on unnecessary bling just to show off. The key is to only spend your money on things you genuinely need, even if they happen to be flashy. At the number 2 spot, we've got none other than Warren Buffett, also known as the Oracle of Omaha. This guy wears many hats. Businessman, investor, philanthropist, he's practically a household name all across America. Oh, and did I mention he's one of the wealthiest folks on the planet? Forbes says he's got a whopping net worth of over $124 billion. Now here's the jaw-dropping part. Despite all that wealth and fame, Warren still lives in the very same house he bought over 60 years ago. Can you believe it? He's not budging. Why, you ask? Well, according to the man himself, that $31,500 he paid for it way back when was the best deal he had ever made. Why? Because it's packed with over half a century of cherished memories. Now that's a sentiment that really hits home. After all, there's no price tag on happy memories. And finally, we've reached the end of our list. Next up, we've got a person who's one of the most sought-after actors in the world. But guess what? Even with all that fame and fortune, he lives a humble life that's genuinely inspiring. And down-to-earth nature of Keanu Reeves. A man with a multitude of virtues. Not only does he possess immense talent, but he also showcases a remarkably modest lifestyle, setting him apart from many of his celebrity peers. Despite amassing an impressive net worth of $380 million, Keanu Reeves shuns the allure of a lavish and extravagant lifestyle that often ensnares other stars. While it would be a breeze for him to drop a couple of $1 million on a fleet of luxury cars, he chooses not to. Instead, he remains remarkably unassuming. What's even more astonishing is that Keanu is often spotted using public transportation, including the subway. If you were to encounter him on the street, you'd be forgiven for not recognizing him as one of the world's highest paid actors. He embodies the spirit of the everyday person, endearing him to fans around the globe. They've demonstrated that no one becomes wealthy without making wise choices in the end, except for the lottery. And let's face it, we all know how that typically turns out. Here are the top 5 examples of wealthy people that practice frugality and simplicity in their daily lives. These tales serve as a reminder that success depends not just on resources, but also on how you employ them. The stories of these extremely rich athletes who live like average Joes remind us that wealth doesn't have to change who you are. These individuals have shown that humility, frugality, and a grounded approach to life can coexist with immense success. Their lives serves as a testament to the idea that money should be a tool for improving one's own life and the lives of others, rather than a means to flaunt extravagance. Their choices, like cycling to work or wearing simple clothing, highlight the importance of values such as humility, gratitude, and responsible spending. These athletes have demonstrated that true wealth isn't just about the number in your bank account, but about the character you maintain, the values you uphold, and the positive impact you can make on the world. We'd love to hear your thoughts on these remarkable individuals who choose to live life modestly despite their incredible wealth. Do you admire their approach, or do you think differently about how to enjoy success? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more inspiring stories. And be sure to check out our next video for more incredible tales.
Here are 12 frugal celebrities who are enormously wealthy, but stayed humble. From limiting their monthly budgets to buying from thrift stores, their humble ways may come as a shock to you. Number 12. Shailene Woodley. $12 million. Shailene Woodley, a familiar face since her teenage years, has always remained authentic. She's always avoided the glitz and glamour that comes with fame. With a net worth of $12 million, she's chosen a frugal life. For years, she had a nomadic lifestyle, living out of a carry-on suitcase and couch surfing among friends. In the summer of 2016, she even lived in an RV for months. And when it comes to handling her finances, Shailene is a savvy budgeter. She once revealed that her frugal habits stem from her childhood experiences. She said, "I was fortunate to grow up without a ton of money, but we never had to worry about not having enough." She was only 10 years old when she recognized the value of hard work and started to babysit. This instilled in her a deep appreciation for the value of money. Even though Shailene Woodley is a dedicated worker, her ultimate aim was never just immense wealth. She shared that she never felt the need for excessive riches and emphasized her love for the rewards of hard work. And she even proudly declared that she's one of the thriftiest people around. For her, the sentimental value outweighs the cost. Plus, she actively seeks ways to be eco-conscious and reduce waste. The star has discovered a fantastic way to align her frugality with environmental responsibility. As a part of her effort, she exclusively buys used clothing, promoting both sustainability and wise spending. Shailene Woodley's purchases show that she's an environmentally responsible person, working to reduce her footprint on the planet. Just like her, the next celebrity on our list chose a humble home and loves to follow eco-friendly practices. Number 11. Jack Johnson. $23 million. Jack Johnson is a musician with a devoted following and multiple hit albums. But despite his immense success, he chooses to fly in economy class. And he lives in a simple yet beautiful home in Hawaii. He and his family enjoy their life at the modest Oahu hillside home, which is blessed with a breathtaking ocean view. Jack prefers a peaceful atmosphere and to stay away from distractions. He doesn't even have cable television. And he doesn't exactly enjoy fame either. So he sees the privacy of his home away from the city as a benefit because he can stay clear of the media frenzy. He enjoys being able to walk around the street where not one person will recognize him. He says he likes that people know his music better than his face. In fact, that's why most of his album covers only feature silhouettes. He is indeed a down-to-earth soul in the world of music and a rare gem. In 2008, his concert tour earnings soared to over $22 million. What makes this even more extraordinary is that every dollar earned went toward founding the Johnson Ohana Charitable Foundation. This foundation is committed to supporting the environment, art, and music education. And here's the inspiring part. Jack Johnson continues to donate 100% of his tour profits to this noble fund. He exemplifies the power of success used for positive change. Emmett Malloy, Jack's co-manager, confirms his humility, saying that Jack is very down-to-earth. Jack Johnson has stayed true to himself, and this helped him to succeed without losing sight of who he is. And coming up next is a celebrity who tries her best to remain true to her simple beliefs. Number 10. Julia Fox. $30 million. Julia Fox is famous for her glamorous image, but her fans were shocked to the core after seeing her other side. She recently opened up about her choice for a simpler life. In a TikTok video, Julia warmly welcomed fans into her cozy New York City apartment, which she shares with her son, Valentino. And people had mixed opinions after the apartment tour. Some applauded her approach to life. At the same time, others raised eyebrows at her decision to live in a modest space. But Julia Fox had a brilliant explanation of her perspective. While she can't afford a larger place, she prefers normalcy for her son. All she wants for him is to stay grounded and not lose touch with the real world. She emphasized that she herself grew up in the real world, and that's an experience she cherishes. Julia's plans are clear. She wants her son to grow up with humility, empathy, and a connection to reality. Just like Julia, our upcoming star opts for a carefree approach to life and enjoys keeping things simple. Number 9. Rob Gronkowski. $45 million. It's truly remarkable when someone doesn't get carried away with their wealth, and instead, they keep a low profile. One example is Rob Gronkowski, the legendary player from the New England Patriots. He's famous for his amazing career on the football field and his outgoing personality. But he achieved something equally fascinating. Rob won the Super Bowl 4 times and earned a whopping $70 million during his 11-year NFL journey. But guess what? He never spent a single penny of it. He defied expectations in the most humble way. Rob Gronkowski chose to live by using the income from endorsements only. His impressive list of sponsors includes Dunkin' Donuts, Visa, T-Mobile, Lyft, Cheerios, Monster Energy Drink, Tide, and a memorable USAA commercial. The footballer shared some inspiring insights surrounding finances in his book, It's Good to Be Gronk. He revealed that he didn't splurge on expensive cars, flashy jewelry, and tattoos. What's even more surprising is that he still proudly wears his favorite high school jeans. Rob's modest lifestyle and prioritizing financial stability have helped him to enjoy life both on and off the field while securing his future. But the next celebrity's frugal lifestyle is all down to her life experiences. Number 8. Mila Kunis. $75 million. Mila Kunis, the talented actress famous for roles in Black Swan, Bad Moms, and the iconic sitcom That 70s Show, is an inspiration in more than one way. Despite her immense wealth, she holds on to the values she learned as an immigrant. Mila's perspective about the value of money is due to her upbringing. Her parents made sure that she understood the importance of hard work. She's a prime example of no matter how successful you get, never forget the values of your past. Mila once admitted that before marrying the actor Ashton Kutcher, she was cautious about her spending habits. And she still is, despite her husband reassuring her that it's okay to spend a few dollars on something you love. But you know what they say about good values. They don't go away easily. And that's the case with Mila Kunis. She holds on to her thrifty tendencies in an effort to minimize waste. She believes in the value of conserving resources and making mindful choices. Now, that's an excellent example of finding a balance between being economical and enjoying life. Mila even loves a discount, like Groupon for dining. And you won't believe this one. For her big day, she bought wedding bands for the two of them from Etsy in the $90 to $100 range. Mila Kunis shows us that you don't need to flash your cash to have a good time. Just like her, the next celebrity on our list has a similar lifestyle. Number 7. Keira Knightley, $80 million. The famous British actress Keira Knightley sets a shining example of savvy financial planning. Keira told Glamour magazine that her annual allowance is just 50 grand. This might seem substantial to many of us, but it's only a fraction of her earnings from hit films like Atonement and Love Actually. Looking at her hit projects, it would be an understatement that her views on money are pretty simple. She believes that living a lavish lifestyle can isolate you from those who don't have as much money. And the best thing is that her most cherished moments have occurred in modest settings. Keira doesn't shy away when it comes to setting an example for the public. Her wedding wasn't glamorous or extravagant. Instead, it was the complete opposite. Her marriage with English musician James Wrighton was simple and intimate. The couple had invited only 11 guests at the ceremony, and there were just 50 at the reception. Interestingly, she chose not to overspend on new makeup or clothing for her special day. She opted for a laid-back approach, recycling her beloved beauty items and wearing a Chanel dress she already owned. She could have afforded a brand new designer dress, 1,000 guests, and a swanky location. But she just didn't think all that spending would make the day any better. It turned out she was right. To Keira Knightley, life means valuing meaningful moments, regardless of their humble origins. Coming up next is a celebrity who adopted a frugal lifestyle in an effort to heal Mother Nature. Number 6. Lenny Kravitz, $90 million. Meet Lenny Kravitz, the legendary rock star. While rock and roll can be all about flashy parties and big mansions, Kravitz is a surprisingly frugal environmental conservationist. He lives on a ranch and tends to his own veggies. You might show him a compost bin crawling with worms, and he would see it as an opportunity. He's been a vegetarian for years, long before it was cool, promoting the goodness of plant-based eating. He chose the Bahamas location for his home specifically because of how easy it is to grow his own food there. His garden supplies most of what he eats, and it's all vegan and mostly raw. And Lenny Kravitz is not just into music, he's a big advocate for making the world a better place. He supports education, fights for human rights, and champions environmental conservation. Lenny Kravitz's green living is pretty impressive, but the next celebrity on our list seems to be giving Kravitz a run for his money. Number 5. Christian Bale, $130 million. Despite playing Batman in a billion-dollar franchise, Oscar winner Christian Bale does not lead an extravagant lifestyle. He's one of Hollywood's most humble and down-to-earth men. Christian Bale owns a small house in Santa Monica, and for a while, he and his family even shared an apartment. We live in an era where even breathing without a phone is impossible. But he defied this concept and lived years without a cell phone. He once said in an interview that wealth doesn't mean anything to him. He added, "If a robber broke into my house, he'd burst into tears." It's not just Christian's house that's modest. He still drives a 2003 Toyota Tacoma, and it's quite something to see him still driving that truck. Plus, he doesn't surround himself with assistants or security when running everyday errands like groceries or grabbing coffee. I guess he doesn't need all that. After all, who'd believe it really was Batman driving around in that Toyota? Hollywood is often associated with opulence, but Christian Bale stands out against this trend. And the next person on our list also prefers a relaxed lifestyle. Number 4. Jennifer Lawrence, $175 million. Jennifer Lawrence is often celebrated as a shining example of frugality. Even her meteoric rise to fame didn't stop her from living the thrifty life. At the young age of 23, Lawrence set an impressive example of financial responsibility. This made her an ideal role model for those who are still developing their money management skills. She was born into a middle-class family in Louisville, and she attributes her values to her parents. She claims she was raised to value and respect money, even if you have a lot of it. She also said she's grateful to have a family that would never let her turn into a diva. Jennifer keeps her finances simple and relatable. Firstly, she lives in a modest 3-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles, and she's owned the place for several years. She made it clear that she doesn't have any plans to splurge on a lavish house. Plus, J-Law chooses not to hire personal assistants for her shopping needs. And she loves clipping coupons like the average person. While some celebrities favor high-end stores, Jennifer opts for a more down-to-earth approach. She's mindful about valet parking expenses and drives an economical car. In fact, she still drives the same Volkswagen she's had for years. Even after her Best Actress win in Silver Linings Playbook, Jennifer kept it practical by picking a Chevy Volt for $39 grand. She still looks for bargains when she goes to the market. She says that sometimes she splashes out by letting people park her car for her, but she seems like she'd rather keep that $4 she has to pay for the valet service. But she's made one thing clear. She's not the one to spend money on unnecessary indulgences, not even on something as simple as a Snickers bar. Her dedication to a modest lifestyle is so deeply ingrained that she once shared an amusing incident. She confessed to accidentally making a $500 order of gummy bears while spending time with Lenny Kravitz. I guess nobody's perfect when it comes to money. Jennifer Lawrence's dedication to a humble way of life is reflected in every aspect of her existence. The next celebrity on our list seems to share her values. Number 3. Dave Grohl. $330 million. Dave Grohl is the frontman of the Foo Fighters, and he's not the stereotypical rock star we might all imagine. His rock star lifestyle stands out from the crowd, and that's something to look up to. In his downtime, Dave lives a regular, down-to-earth life. He prioritizes taking care of his family and doesn't make spontaneous purchases. And he's not in the field to gather more money. It's his passion for music that motivates him to work harder. Dave's perspective on money is unique. He doesn't let it consume him or dictate his life. Instead, he thinks of it as a tool that provides him with the freedom to pursue his passions without constant worry. His choice of a modest, shared family car and a reasonably sized home reflects his grounded nature. And he's not trying to impress anyone with extravagant possessions. The only thing that he treasures is his studio. Dave Grohl calls his studio, Studio 606, his gold mine. And it makes perfect sense for him to invest in that. After all, that's what his livelihood depends on. Dave Grohl's approach to wealth highlights the fact that success isn't solely measured by extravagant display of riches. It's all about following your passion and finding freedom and fulfillment in your decisions. And our next celebrity is another A-lister, who's often mistaken as an ordinary guy. Number 2. Adam Sandler. $420 million. Adam Sandler, a Hollywood A-lister, shines brightly in his own unique way. While he may not follow the latest trends, his consistent choice of relaxed attire has transformed him into a fashion icon. Now, his fashion journey did have a fair share of questionable moments, but he remains unapologetically himself. And he sticks to his signature look. Loose-fitting t-shirts, extra roomy basketball shorts, and comfy sneakers. If you ever spot him somewhere, you might think he's ready for a post-school basketball game. His co-stars and friends adore his quirky style. Many sources have even reported on him wearing slippers to his own movie premieres. It's amazing to think that an actor with a net worth of nearly $500 million still sticks to his modest style. But what does he do for enjoyment if he's not spending loads of cash? Well, Adam is often seen strolling through the streets of New York, enjoying a jar of pickles. In May 2021, he proved he was just like us, as he waited in line for 30 minutes at IHOP. Besides his one-of-a-kind style and frugal lifestyle, Adam is also a kind-hearted person. He not only donates to noble causes, but also utilizes his talents to raise awareness and funds for autism. Adam Sandler's choices teach us that being comfortable in your own skin is timeless and valuable. And the last celebrity on our list takes things to a whole new level. Number 1. Chow Yun-Fat. $715 million. Chow Yun-fat has been gracing the screen for more than 4 decades now, and he has a staggering net worth of 5.6 billion HKD, which equals $715 million. With such a massive amount of wealth, it's natural to think that he must have a luxurious lifestyle, but that's a big misconception. Chow Yun-fat is living the life of a normal person. He's a simple man who prefers using public transport. Instead of spending money, he prefers to focus more on helping others. He made a shocking claim once that his monthly expenditure is only $102. And he isn't into the latest gadgets or fashion trends either. In fact, he used his first-generation Nokia phone for over 17 years. He only switched to a smartphone after his Nokia stopped working. Plus, he shops at discount stores, and for him, comfort is everything. Instead of chasing material wealth, he dedicates his free time to healthy habits like hiking and jogging. His wife Jasmine shared that they've planned to donate their wealth to various charities, but they went a different route instead. Together, they founded their own charity, and Jasmine fully supports his decision to give back. When asked why he was giving away his fortune, Chow Yun-fat replied with a smile and, "The money's not mine. I'm just keeping it safe for now." Chow Yun-fat is truly happy when he's living the simple life. And there you have it. These 12 celebrities prove that you don't have to be flashy if you're crazy rich. Now, if you want to discover even more jaw-dropping celebrity fortune, click to watch our next video. Celebrities who are way richer than you think. You won't believe your eyes.